Now I just have my mic muted. Let me restart over. All right. So anyway, as I was saying, my opponent, my guest is going to be on shortly. He is the current GTS champion who defeated incumbent champion Duhop at Grimomania, and he has a match at Grimomania Fatlash against, I guess, his longtime friend Tony Emerald. I honestly got back into GTS like 2.5 months ago, where Lawrence Spiral and all that debuted on the main roster, on the Grimomania, on the GTS roster, and I think that it was a surprise to see Vince Ceres, and that's the guess. Yes, it is, and I'm just waiting on my co-host. So anyway, the champion of champions. Let's talk about a couple champions called like Grand Slam champions, like AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins, and a couple more that I can't name. Oh, Miz. Miz is the two-time Grand Slam champion, which is pretty remarkable to say the least. He's been in the business for over 15 years, and it's really remarkable that he's still in the company. So, anyway, what type of champion that Grin Series is? He's a fighting champion, I gotta say. I hope he is going to be still a fighting champion coming at Romania Fatlash. Oh, what am I kidding? He's pretty jacked. He's honestly, I can see him in WWE facing off against like guys like Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Honestly. And I also think that people like Brock Lesnar, you could actually have a fight against them. So, I'm just gonna be waiting on my co-host to get back. In the meantime, I guess I'll still be talking about champions in WWE. Not talking about just about the WWE Championship, the Intercontinental. Sami Zayn, he held the title for a long time until Big E came in and took the title and won it fair and square. Sami Zayn is a fighting champion. At least, technically every champion is a fighting champion, but in some type of tactic, they can be a fighting champion. Anything can be in a. People say that hard work pays off. That's mostly true. Sometimes hard work is basically dedication to the workforce, and I think that whatever Vince Series is, he is a fighting champion. He worked hard to make his debut and everything. I hopefully think that Vince Series has sets up a good fight against his old buddy Tony Emerald, and I really think that he could he could debut in WWE someday. That's my personal opinion. He has the skills to put people through tables or whatever. He could do anything. I don't know. He was about to put somebody through some type of flaming barrel. Jeez. I honestly think that he has the skills, has the moveset to get into the WWE. Because, like I said, he's jacked and all that, and he has a good skill set and all that. Anyway, we are awaiting my co-host. So anyway, we are awaiting him, so I'm not gonna. I will send my guest the link. Until my co-host. I'm gonna wait until like 5 minutes for my co-host to come back, and I'll possibly send the link to the host. We are doing it by Zoom. This Restream thing is going to be live on Restream, as you may know, and I've told his opponent at Grimmedia Fatlash, Tony Emerald, possibly take note of what he could possibly do, what he has in store to say about you. I'm just saying that. I'm just gonna say that to Tony Emerald. If you want to have an appearance on a future episode of this podcast, just let me know. Just DM me on either Twitter, Instagram, or anything. Anyway, so just DM me. So Tony Emerald, I'm messing up on my words. So basically, DM me on Twitter or Instagram, GameMaster_Clarkson. If you have Instagram, Twitter, it is GameMaster_. I think it was GameMaster Clark, and we'll get you situated for a possible appearance on the show and make your statement on the champion Vince Ceres, since you're facing him at Grimmania Backlash. Why do I keep messing it up? Because it's kind of pretty similar. Grimmania, WrestleMania. I mean, at least to me. Anyway, let me check. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna wait for about 3 more minutes, and I guess I'll get my buddy Twiz, my buddy T Plays, to come into here. We could, whatever happens, I'm gonna still have him on. So anyway, we're gonna have Vince Ceres in a matter of moments. Anyway, let's still talk about Champions of Champions. Triple H, Ric Flair, John Cena, Randy Orton, and Rey Mysterio come to mind as good champions, as dominant and fighting champions. Randy Orton sometimes used cheap tactics to get the win, but technically he can be a fighting champion, even though he doesn't show up that much. At least put hard work into it. Honestly, Brock Lesnar, honestly, I've seen that he's was losing weight, not losing weight, but gaining weight actually. And I never noticed that until some YouTuber, wrestling YouTuber, covered it, and I was like, wow, I didn't know he was gaining weight. I didn't know he basically just stopped training for that much. Not gonna say Brock Lesnar is not training in the gym, but Brock is a good champion. He's a dominant champion. I can't deny about his ability, but honestly, Lesnar came back full time, or at least a little bit, until going into part time, like Triple H did. Triple H went from full time to part time about 2009, and he hasn't announced his retirement yet. He wants a match, I guess, with AJ Styles, the man who ended the Undertaker's career, or at least not ended, but the last opponent for the Undertaker. Speaking of the Undertaker, Taker's been world champion of 2008 Royal Rumble, and he defended that championship until CM Punk, and then Undertaker, I don't think had a title match since, or I think he did, but he kind of lost. He had rivalries with CM Punk, Edge, Triple H, Batista, Randy Orton, Ric Flair, all of those, every part of Revolution, Roman Reigns. I mean, you can't. You did a typo. Hold on. A typo? Hey, Dev Foxy and Mr. Clap. You did a typo in the title of the stream. Hold on. Let me check the YouTube part. Let me check the YouTube part and see if there's a typo. It might show. It's gonna show up. I don't think I did do a typo. I don't think I did do a typo because it says Wrestling Around episode 9, Champion of Champions. So, yeah. Okay, so 5:30. Okay, I have my questions ready. Look over them real quick. All right. So I'm gonna send. Hold on, I'm just sending a message to him to let you know. This guest I've reached out through Instagram. I'm just waiting for him to be on. Special guest, Spiel guest. Hold on, Spiel. I can. Oh, now I see the error. I can actually edit the video. I can edit the title and fix it. Spiel. Okay. There we go. Okay, and I said there, and that's another typo. Current opponent. Hold on, no, I didn't mean to go to my subscriber count. Hold on. Hold on. All right, so okay, should work. Okay. To answer your question, some of them I had to pay. Some don't need paying. Just saying. They might offer you something like the higher ups. Like if you want a celebrity, you gotta pay. So, like a couple of them that I had to pay for. I'm not gonna pay for any other people, honestly. I'm just gonna say that. Uh, he didn't mention anything about paying or anything like paying stuff, like paying the champion or whatever. Okay, so let me check. Let me check. Okay. Okay, I'm nervous. I'm not usually nervous, but this time I am because I'm getting like a champion, a GTS champion, a current champion. Okay. I tried to put this night when I was setting up. I was trying to put this nameplate. Try to put this nameplate somewhere, but I can't put it like right here. It's kind of that would be hard. That would be hard to see back there. So yeah. No, I didn't get John Cena, Dean Ambrose, or The Rock. Happy birthday, Rock! I said on Twitter. So yeah, I can't get those three because it's hard to reach and would be more expensive than actually my own money that I have right now. All right, just gonna wait. Hey, Evil Pleb. We are awaiting a guest on the show, on the podcast. You upgraded your setup? Yeah, it's been like this for a little while. It's just the first time you've seen it, I think. You might have seen it before, but you didn't really notice. I don't know. I'm not going to assume. Okay, also, we're going to have another guest, not on this podcast episode, but in coming later today around at 9 p.m., I'm going to go live with Ohio Zoid Lux. What up? Yeah, I barely remember you. I think you're on Fortnite or something. But I'm just okay for before 500. Interesting. Uh, see here. Okay. Usually you pay TS4. Yeah, I'm gonna have a play. I'm gonna have a Not gonna have a PlayStation 4 stream today, but I'm gonna have some. Oh, I think we just arrived, so I'm gonna have to introduce him. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna wait real quick. Catch my breath. I don't want this to go wrong. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna have to introduce him. Welcome to the show. He is a GTS superstar. He is the current GTS champion and another champion from Trifecta. He is known as Cerberus Vince Ceres. Oh, I think my microphone was off. Oh, sorry. My microphone was off just for a second. Sorry about that. I apologize. Okay. So, do you hear me? I think you just froze. I think you just froze for a second. Oh. Oh, can you hear me now? Oh. Oh, okay. I think my microphone, my sound was off, so that you can hear you. So I apologize about that.
No worries.
I was introducing you, and I didn't hear you for a second.
No worries.
How did it feel when you came into GTS and dominated all these guys like Hog and Doo-Hop and became the GTS champion?
Well, I've known a lot of those guys for a long time. I've known doo-hop. I've known Grim for over 20 years now. And I just decided to come in, and I knew I could kick some ass in their company. And I walk in, I take no prisoners, and I whoop ass. That's basically what it comes down to.
Well, this upcoming pay-per-view on GTS, Grimomania Fat Lash, you're gonna face, I guess, your longtime friend Tony Emerald. Can you elaborate on how you and Tony came to be?
Tony and I, so my first match ever was a tag. Well, it was a 2-on-1. It was a handicap match. My very first match was 19 years old. I was a little kid, and I had to go under a mask with Tony, and he had to put a mask on too. We called ourselves Street Thugs, and we had to face a guy named Crusher Blackwell, Bruce Blackwell, similar in nature. Not the old AWA Crusher Blackwell, but a guy on the New Jersey side. And I knew I was going to get beat, and so did Tony. So we put masks on, and we took our licks, we got beat, and we decided that after that we were going to call ourselves the Street Thugs, and we were going to become a tag team. And we actually ran around in New Jersey independent scene, and we had a good time, and eventually got tired of Tony's shit, and
Oh. Oh.
all right, we're back on. Sorry.
Okay. I thought my internet connection was unstable.
That was my internet.
Oh, okay. So you were.
So where did we leave off?
So you were talking about Tony Emerald and how they came to be, and you were elaborating on, like, you were wrestling in New Jersey with them.
Yes. So in Jersey, bear with me one second. Actually, let me do something here. Just.
Oh.
We got our asses kicked, and but we decided to become a tag team, and we ran through the Jersey Indies as a tag team, and I eventually got tired of his shit because he wasn't pulling his weight, and I beat his ass on the show, and he had to go away for a while, and he became what I call mid-card driftwood. He was a mid-card guy, and I was always the main event after that. That's basically how it goes. And now I haven't seen Tony in probably 20 years, and he shows up at GTS wanting to challenge me for my belt. And I'll beat him just like I beat everybody else. There's not a person in GTS that could even come close to getting over on me. And I hate to say it, but I will literally kill everyone in GTS before I give up that belt.
You know, before I started this podcast, this episode when I went live, I've told Tony Emerald if he to unnotice, like, when of your podcast appearance on here, and if he wanted to, like, come on a future episode to give a statement. If you want to send a message to Tony Emerald, you can. It's your freedom to.
I've been living in his head rent-free for 20 years. And he has literally been nothing but mid-card driftwood while I've always been the main event. It doesn't matter. He can come in. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to strangle him. I'm going to work on that bad neck he's got from taking a bad bump probably 2 years ago. And I'm going to choke him out. I'm going to do a special thing. I usually use my Sky High, my Year Zero a move, I'm going to put him in a camel clutch this time so I can break his neck.
So, if you were put on the WWE main roster, either on Raw, NXT, or SmackDown, which superstar would you want to make your debut on when you debut on WWE television?
So it's funny. I don't watch anything. I don't watch AEW. I have plenty of friends who are now down in AEW. I have a couple of friends who are in the WWE right now. I don't watch it because what happens as a wrestler, if you watch, you start to mimic people's moveset and you start to get ideas from what other people are doing. I don't watch anymore because I don't want to do that. So I honestly don't know who. I haven't watched a Monday Night Raw probably 15 years. The last time I watched Monday Night Raw. So you would be the better person to tell me who I should make my debut with.
So what you're saying is, if you haven't watched the current WWE programming or AEW, yeah, I'm here. It's kind of little, I guess, connection issues. So you've elaborated that.
I think you're back.
Oh. You've elaborated that you haven't actually watched television, the WWE television, for 15 years. So I get what you mean.
Right.
You basically want to have, like, you want to develop your own moveset, your own character, and all that.
Right.
And so on the programming that you have seen the last when you last saw it, what superstar would you want to choose as you last saw?
Well, recently, what little I've seen recently, I've obviously I would go with the Fiend recently. What little I've seen of it, and I catch a little bit here, a little bit there, just because it's a character. I want to face a character. To me, the straight strikers like a Daniel Bryan guy or those guys, to me, it bores me. You want a character. From the last time I watched WWF, I would like to work a guy like, I don't know, Big Show or some of the bigger guys, because I personally like to take as tall, as big as I am. I'm only 6'2", I'm 270 pounds, but I like to what they call take bumps. I like to get thrown around a lot. I don't get to do that much because there's not a lot of bigger guys out there in the New Jersey Indies, in the Pennsylvania Indies, in the independent scene in the area. So I would like to face bigger guys so I could actually kind of bump around a little bit for a while and do, that type of stuff.
So before you got in the wrestling business, who was the person that stood out the most that inspired you to start your wrestling career?
Well, that's a loaded question. Who inspired me? Don't mind my dog barking. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Come here. Sorry.
It's fine. Aw.
So, I was a big fan as a kid of Rick Rude, who I still try to pattern my career after, and Kurt Hennig, which is funny because they were actually really close friends. So Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, and Rick Rude. But the person who inspired me, once I was kind of training, so I trained at a place, you're too young to remember who Iron Mike Sharp is. But I trained with a guy, Iron Mike Sharp, who was huge in Canada, within the Hart territory, up in Stampede Wrestling, and he was kind of an underneath guy in the WWF in the 80s. But I trained with him for a long time. And this guy, Tommy Rumsby, who was very an integral part of my career as a young guy. He was a typical wrestling promoter, which is hard to try to explain to folks who haven't been in the wrestling business. He was a typical wrestling promoter who was what they call a carny. He promised you the world, pay you $5, and you blood, sweat, and tears in the ring, and you're lucky if you got a hot dog and a handshake at the end of the match. But I got to wrestle a lot of guys that I grew up watching because of him. Honky Tonk Man and Jimmy Superfly Snuka and guys like that. Sergeant Slaughter. I got to wrestle all these guys because he brought me in. So he was a big inspiration in my career.
So before your match with Duhop at Grimomania, what was your initial intentions going into this match before you entered the ring?
I was gonna retire. He's out of shape. He was too old. He's a little younger than me. He's about 4 years younger than me, Duhop. And I've known Duhop for 20 years. And I have videos of Duhop and I in the ring 20 years ago back at some shows in New Jersey. And I just wanted to make sure he knew that I was the better man and I could put him out of the business. And I did. And that's what I'm going to do to everybody at GTS. They're going to have nobody left once I run through the roster.
Well, relating to that, we've had a guest that kind of not despised, but was scared of you. He said he was going to die when he gets in the ring with you, and that guy who happens on GTS, and that is Hog, who is with LTW. And so, what do you
think about Hog? Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, you're a little too.
I actually like Hog. I like Hog. Hog has heart. The kid is a fighter. The kid is an underdog champion. I like Hog. But I had to beat his ass for business. I whooped his ass. He took his beating like a man, and that's what happens. I respect Hog, and I enjoy it.
So, what is your initial stance on this situation with the LTW versus GTS, where Ace Marksman is just I didn't lose to Grim. There was this only a 2 count that only had my hand up, and they had this update with May 15th. Was it Divide In that LTW is going to have to face GTS, and winner gets LTW. So who do you think who's going to win that match, LTW or GTS?
It honestly doesn't matter. I could care less who wins. Because I'm going to hold the belt. It doesn't matter who wins it. If it's the LTW belt, if it's the GTS belt, it doesn't matter. I don't pay attention. I do my own thing. I walk in, I kick ass, I walk out. That's it. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to know anybody. Grim and Ace can have their own thing going. I don't care. I'm a paid assassin at this point. If Grim wants to pay me, that's fine. If Ace wants to pay me, that's fine. On May 15th at that same show, I'm kicking at that Dilf Boy kid. I'm literally gonna splatter his blood all over that arena on May 15th. I'm literally gonna tear that kid apart. That's all that matters. I don't care who wins. I just wear belts.
I get I like your style. You just I don't care who wins or loses. I just go business and go out. And so I forgot to tell you, I'm not the only one here. Was supposed to be here. It was supposed to be my co-host, Marshall, but he's apparently he's not here at the moment. I'm just letting you know that. I forgot to tell you. So what type of match stipulation do you like to compete in? What is your specialty type of match to compete in?
No?
Yeah, I am.
All right, there we go.
All right. So what I said was, What type of match stipulation is the type your specialty when you get into the ring and face guys like, I don't know, like little guys, big guys?
So I don't necessarily need a no holds barred match because I can just beat people with my power, my strength. There's not really a specialty. I just like to get it done. Again, I want to get in, kill somebody, get paid, and get the hell out. That's my job. And I don't care about ladders. I don't care about chairs. If you want to bring them in, that's fine. It's just going to make me hurt someone that much more. I don't necessarily want to do that type of stuff because I'm afraid of what I would do to somebody with extra weapons or no holds barred type match. Hop found it out when he wanted to bring a chair in to bring a medium, and he got his ass basically killed. And I actually had to leave. I actually left the country for 2 weeks because I actually thought he was dead. So I'm just straightforward. I just want to wrestle. I just want to kill somebody and get out. I don't want any stipulations. I don't care. If it's no holds barred, it's fine. But it's just going to hurt worse on the other person.
So, how was it like when you first were like training and getting into the wrestling business and like taking your first bump and like facing your first opponent on the indie scene? Like, did you?
You have to kind of go back a little bit.
Okay, okay, no problem. So how do you feel like when you were training back, like when you were first starting in wrestling, and when you like took your first bump or faced your first opponent on the indie scene, or like when you first got your first contract to like a major wrestling company?
It was wild actually. My first show, after I trained, they always used to tell you, I don't know if it's still the same now, but always bring your bag. No matter what, you always bring your gimmick bag with you, with your boots and your tights and everything. No matter if you're booked on the show or not, you always bring your bag. And I brought my bag one night, and we were at some show, and I was a kid again. I just wanted to sit and watch the show, and somebody was I don't know, not feeling good or whatever, and I couldn't make the show. And I had to get geared up. And back then, it was different because you had to bring your music to the shows. You had to have your CD that had your entrance music on. And now everything's electronic, everything's downloaded. It's completely different. But back then, if you were a guy, you had to bring your CD to the show. And I didn't bring my CD. I didn't even know what my entrance music was going to be for my first match. I was scared shitless. And a guy had given me this CD. He was like, "Hey, it was Ozzy Osbourne, who I love. It was Ozzy, and it was a song called Perry Mason. And Perry Mason kind of has long, drawn out entrance music, and it probably takes about 2 minutes before the music actually kicks in. So not only am I behind the curtain with a mask on, and I can barely breathe, but people are just waiting to, they're bored. Once if you get past 30 seconds of entrance music and the person doesn't come through the curtain, you're bored. So here I am at my first show, I'm shitting my pants, and I walk through the curtain with Tony Emerald as the tag team under masks, and people shit all over us. They hated us. It's just walked out because they waited so long for us to come through the curtain.
You've said that you've known Tony Emerald and Grimm and Doo-Wop for several years. And there was a guy that was also there when you won the match and won the GTS championship. And that guy's name is Dominic Truex. So what are your initial thoughts on Dominic Truex?
I don't know Dominic. He's a another ham and egg or big card in Driftwood. I don't know him. I don't care about him. So he's just a guy that hangs around. It's literally crap on my shoe. I don't know him. Don't care.
So you've elaborated that you didn't really know, you don't really care who wins or loses and all that, and so.
Well, I care who wins or loses. Because I'm going to win. I always care that I'm going to win.
But other
What?
people, yeah, it's like, go for yourself.
No, I don't care who wins or loses on the other end. No, absolutely not.
Oh.
Everybody around me, I only care about myself, and I want to make that perfectly clear. This business, the wrestling, GTS, the Trifecta Championship that I earned in the other companies, is about me. I don't care about anybody else. I literally get paid to kill people, and that's it. I don't want to know anybody. I don't want to be friends with anybody. I've known people for a long time. It's not me only.
So besides all that, you've cared like going in the business for yourself, like you've elaborated multiple times during this, and I respect that, and I admire that. And do you really like care about like where like the venue is, or like if it's out, if like it's a roofless, or like, you know, where GTS is like on yards, or
Right.
like LTW is an actual arena, or SWF. So,
I've been in some crazy places for wrestling shows. I started wrestling in 1997, so it's 4 years now, and I've done WWF shows. Well, at the time it was WWF, but I've done WWF shows. I've done shows where I got dressed in a broom closet. It doesn't matter to me as long as I get to go out, as long as I get to hurt somebody, as long as I get paid. I don't care where it is. I'm actually very comfortable at GTS outdoors. I'd rather be outdoors with no fans, especially because then I get to do what I want to do to somebody, and people won't be able to report it.
So, what are your? So, I think you might have heard this before from Doo-Hop, even though you don't care about him since you beat him. So, he said that if he ever like comes back to GTS, he would be like a special. He hinted at being a special guest referee during like whoever wins to be the number one contender for your championship belt.
It doesn't matter. He can do whatever he wants. I literally have killed the guy, put him into retirement. He can be a special guest referee. He can be a timekeeper. He can stand on the top of the mountain outside of GTS. It doesn't matter because he literally is a scrub that I put to rest in the middle of the ring. And he's an afterthought at this point. I'm going to move through the rest of the GTS roster. Doesn't matter who they bring in. They can bring in Dominic, Truex, that big monkey. They can bring him in. They can bring in Onslaught, that miserable pig. They can bring in Philly Mike Swanson, that scrub. He looks like a chicken breast with a wig on. They can bring in all of them. It doesn't matter because I'll still beat them and I'll just keep moving on. Eventually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hands on grip. And that's the goal. The goal is to get my hands on grip and to retire him with his brother, put them both in wheelchairs, and wheel them off the side of a bridge.
So basically, your initial goal of getting into GTS is to go after him, like the main guy.
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily a goal because I don't have any goals. My goal every show, I don't have any forward goals at any match. The goal of that match is I train hard to get to that match, I kill someone, and I move on. But eventually, Grim is the focus. And eventually I'm going to get to him, and I'm going to put him to retirement with his brother, and they're going to be sucking out his straws for the rest of their lives.
So what you're saying is you you're gonna put Grimm into retirement like every other person
Absolutely.
on GTS.
Absolutely.
So when you started training and everything, did you like every wrestler at least one time at least goes through some type of bodily injury? Uh, have have you had like any type of injuries like throughout your career that possibly like was on the brink of retirement?
Yeah, well, one, it's funny, when I was very young, I was probably about 24 years old, so that's literally 20 years ago. I was working Brutus the Barber Beefcake. I don't know if you're familiar with what Brutus Beefcake was. But Brutus Beefcake was a big name back in the 80s. He was like Hogan's best friend, blah, blah, blah. Dude was super over in the WWF. And we were working in Pennsylvania. And it was a genuine spot. Like, I whipped him to the ropes, but he had so much what they call heat. So there's something that people put on. Everybody thinks it's baby oil. It's not baby oil. It's what they call a heat. And he had so much heat on that when he bumped into the corner and he comes out, I went up to give him a double axe handle, basic stuff. Went up to the top rope to give him a double axe handle, and I slipped off the top rope, and I fell out to the floor, bare floor, concrete floor, flat on my back, and I fractured my spine at 24 years old. And I still finished the match with a broken back, basically. I had a broken back. And here I am at 45 years old, 21 years later, and I'm still wrestling.
So what you're saying is like you recover from an injury and finish the match, whatever condition you're in.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like that nowadays, like in the WWE or AEW. If somebody gets really messed up, they do the, I don't know if you're familiar with the X symbol. The referee will do an X with his arm, so cross his arms. And that's when you know that a worker is truly hurt. And they'll stop the match now, which is great. That's how it should be. Back in the day, they didn't do that. You had to finish your match. And I had to finish many a match, either concussed, right? I've had so many concussions I can't even count them. Or with that broken back at that show in Pennsylvania. And now they'll stop.
So, out of the companies that you want to join, despite of your knowledge, what type of company would you like to join? Like ECW?
It's funny. I used to go to a lot of ECW shows when I was younger because I was friends with a bunch of guys who were working with ECW at the time. Because I lived not far, an hour or so away from Philadelphia, where the ECW arena was. I don't know if this guy Balls Mahoney, and there was Chris Candido. That's
Oh,
I don't know. That's not a brand anymore. So it's not somewhere to go to anymore. But I honestly don't want to go anywhere. I'm glad it's where I am, because places like AEW, the WWE, they wouldn't know how to use me correctly, because I'm an ass kicker, and I don't want to take directions from anybody. I just want to go in. I want to kick someone's ass, and I want to leave, and I want to get paid, and that's it. So I wouldn't work for the WWE, because that's not what they do anymore. And AEW is the same thing. Everybody wants to do monkey spots. They want to jump off the top rope, and they want to flip and fly and flex around. I just want to hit somebody in the face, collect my check, and go home.
let's see. Oh, your camera's kind of stopped for a second, but so anyways, moving on. So it's just like, it's like the limits of like WWE has and AEW, just like what you want to do instead of what is restricted against you. What?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
so
I don't want any parameters put on me. Also, as silly as it sounds, again, I'm old enough probably to be your grandfather. So it's hard to try to get into, like, it's not hard, but I don't want to have to deal with 20-something-year-old kids and have to beat up a bunch of 20-something-year-old kids all the time. I'm done with that. I'm 45 years old. I just want to kick somebody's ass and be able to come home quickly. You can't do that in the WWE. You can't do that in AEW down in Jacksonville, Florida. I live in New Jersey. I don't want to have to fly to Jacksonville to beat somebody's ass and have to come back to New Jersey. I want to be able to do it in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, in the tri-state area, be able to kick somebody's ass, get my paycheck, and come back home.
So
quickly.
I know, like, you've been like traveling all over the country, like attending wrestling shows and doing business, getting in, getting out. Does it get like tiring to like get into like the plane and just like go back and forth between like states?
When I was younger, it did. I don't travel like that anymore. When I was younger, I used to travel a lot like that. In my 20s, 30s, I used to travel to the smaller indie stuff. I don't do that anymore. I won't. I will only, take something that's a day's drive. I'm not going to go far. I was invited to the Bruiser Brody Memorial Tournament in November in Dallas, just outside of Dallas. I was invited. I might do that. I might go down to Texas for the Bruiser Brody Memorial Tournament. But that's it. Yeah, I'm not going to, unless it's a big thing, unless it's a showcase where I know that I'm going to beat someone's ever-loving ass, I'm not going to travel far.
I know there's like a lot of like people that like just like want to do business. I know you're not the only one. It's like all these guys like Brock Lesnar and Ryback, and it's like, oh, get in and get out. So, like, speaking of Brock Lesnar, if you were put in the ring with him, could you like survive his like some type of like MMA type style that is locked in his moveset?
That man, he's just a little younger than me, and that man, he's obviously a beast, and he's well trained in actual like shoot style fighting. He's I would hope I could go toe to toe, and I think I could, but that man is that man's a beast. That man's a beast, and he's all business. It's the same thing. That's what you have to be. For him, I respect that man because he does business with the WWF. And it's beautiful because that man comes in when he wants to, he shows up, he draws money, and he gets out. And they use him the right way. They use him because of him. He knows when he needs to be on camera. He draws when he's on camera, as much as the marks hate him, as much as the fanboys hate him, because he comes in and just wrecks shop, he draws money. And eventually, as much as I love to wrestle, as much as I love to do business, it's about money. I'm going to get paid when I'm done doing my job. And you have to look at it that way. That's how he looks at it. He's getting paid handsomely. And he comes in, he gets out, he gets out. People hate him for it, which is amazing because it's more healing.
Moving on from the wrestling part of things, when you're not wrestling or taking bookings or like flying to different states, what do you do in your free time if you're not taking bookings?
You there, buddy?
Yeah, I am. Did I cut out again?
Yeah,
What?
there you
Okay,
go.
what I
hear you now.
okay. So what I said was, if you're not taking when you're not taking wrestling bookings or traveling different states, what do you do in your free time?
I like to eat, drink, and sleep. That's basically it. I work out. I love to work out. I go to the gym. I pet my dog, and I drink beer. That's about it.
Oh,
And I like music. My music, my beer, my dog, and my gym. That's it. That's my fourth thing.
so like the shape that you're in, how does it? How do you like maintain like the type of physique, especially in the type of age that you're like in, or
I'm actually. It's funny because I get a lot of people that wonder about it. I'm actually vegan. I eat no meat. I eat no dairy. I eat no eggs. I eat no animal products whatsoever. Everything I eat is plant based. I gave that up because of the violence towards the animals in factory farming. I don't believe that humans still need to eat other animals, but I think that's a big part of it. And I work out 6 days a week, twice a day, and I bust my butt.
so have you? You've been wrestling, like you said, for like over 20 years, and you have built, even though you haven't built relationships with your fellow peers, but at least like with business relationships to different companies. So through GTS, are you like in good business relationships with Grim himself?
I'm sorry, with who?
Grim.
With Graham, yeah, of course. Listen, from what I did to his brother, Graham and I have known each other for 20 years. I came in, I told him what I was going to do to hop. He didn't want me to. Obviously, he hates me for what I did to hop. But I respect Grim for what he has built in GTS. And that's going to make it that much sweeter when I'm able to beat his ass eventually and put him in the retirement.
So, through your experiences in the ring, is there any tips that you could possibly give to the people that are possibly starting their career in the ring?
Don't take shit from anybody. Honestly, like there's carny promoters out there. Like if you're a kid that just got out of some school and you go to a show, and it used to be called paying your dues, where you would bust your ass, you get your ass kicked, you get your bell rung for nothing. They're like, oh, kid, it's paying your dues. You just help them set up the ring, and then you go out and you work some sloppy pig for nothing, and you get your bell rung, and they're like, hey, that's paying your dues. There's no more paying your dues. Paying your dues, I understand you set up the ring, that's fine. Never not take a payday. If the promoter doesn't pay you, even if you're the greenest guy in the room, it's your first show, the promoter needs to pay you. You did a job, you did it well, take your paycheck and get the hell out. Or, help us kick down the ring, and that's part of, I understand, that's definitely part of paying your dues. It's being part of the ring crew. Putting up, taking down the ring. That's fine. First person in, last person out. But never go to a show where you know you're not going to get paid. That's what it comes down to. No matter how much you love the business, don't go to a show where you're not going to get paid, and it happens a lot. It happens a lot.
So you've explained that. So don't take crap from anybody. It's like, this guy is just, he's gonna be in here and we're gonna beat him up, blah blah blah. It's just basically, I don't care about you. I'm doing it for myself. I don't give a f about you. You know, uh, I so all those guys that you've mentioned, you respect them, but you have to do business like is due. And I honestly, I said this more enough. I can't stop saying this. I respect that. So How does it feel to be like a double champion at this point of your career?
I'm going to be more than double champion. You got about a couple of weeks until I have 3 or 4 belts on me, because I'm going to go up to the IWA up in New York, the Intense Wrestling Alliance. I'm going to take their belt, and then there's a new company out of Pennsylvania that's just starting up. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to take their belt. I'll have 4 or 5 belts over me before I'm done. And by October, I'll have about 5 belts straight over.
You know, I get it. You know, when I become like a wrestler, it's like when I become like imagining myself like, oh, I know I'm gonna get me over the belt. I'm just gonna shine in this business and do business as due. And I respect that. Like the 4 or 5 championships, I could see it. Like like a couple like in WWE, if you don't know, they have like 2 belts that a person has held, but never like more than 2. Which I respect your fighting spirit to get more championships. But do you think, in your own opinion, it gets tiring to defend all your championships that you've won?
No. On May 15th, I'm going to defend both the GTS Heavyweight Championship and the Trifecta Championship in one show against Dilf Boy Daltano. And I'm literally going to cut through him like a hot knife through butter. So that's fine. It doesn't get tiring because I know I'll win. Easy as that. I'm going to kill somebody in the ring, basically, like I did the Doo-Hop. And I just walk away. When I have my belts, no problem. It doesn't get tiring. It drives me because I know I can beat everyone. At my age, I can beat everyone in that ring.
So the titles you're saying are as motivation, building motivation to beat more guys up and getting more titles, even more titles. And
of course,
even though I don't have even though I'm like the age of like where I'm like, I just turned an adult this year, and if I had like 5 titles when I'm this age, I would be tired. But in your age, possibly like you could take all the world. You could take the world. You could just like take the earth and just chuck it across the universe. And
shoot.
So, what type of like companies do you like working for this, despite like the types of environments that they're in?
Well, the companies I like working for are the no-nonsense companies. Here you are, you show up to the show, they tell you when you're going on, your match is 6th or 7th or 8th. They're going to tell you when your match is. They're going to tell you how, not to kill kayfabe or anything here. They're going to tell you how long you have to go, and that's it. And they run it like that. If they give me 10 minutes, I can kill the guy in 10 minutes. If they give me 20 minutes, I'm going to kill the guy in 20 minutes. I like the no-nonsense shows. You know where you are once you walk into the locker room. You're told, hey, you're 6th match in. There's no bullshit between the matches. A lot of the time, these indie promoters will go into business for themselves. They'll put themselves in the ring and they'll do long-winded promos, and it'll take forever. It's bullshit. I want to know what I'm going on. I want to know how long I got, and I want to go home.
So you have like been training like since the past like 20 plus years, but do you remember like a couple of your first matches, how they went, and just like what can you like tell me about like what you first got in the business and how like your first victory and all that?
My very first match with Tony Emerald, when we were both under the masks, under the hoods, I got my jaw broken my very first match. Thankfully, I was under a mask. We were facing a guy again. He was like, he called himself Crusher Blackwell, Bruiser Blackwell, something, and it was a rip off of an old '80s AWA gimmick. But he was this big fat guy, weighed like 400 pounds, could not move. He was also mobile, but because he was so big smaller, they wanted him to get over. And he was so gassed up because Tony and I, we came out hot. We were young guys. He was a little older. He was fat, old. And we were throwing drop kicks at him. We were throwing clotheslines at him. And he got what they call gas right away. He was out of breath right away. And we did a spot where it's a double clothesline. And we sent him to the ropes. Luckily, he was able to slowly duck our double clothesline and come back and give us both a clothesline. So he double downed us. And he was so tired that when he gave us the clothesline, instead of hitting me in the chest, he hit me across the jaw. And he dislocated my jaw, my first match out. And here I'm a 19-year-old kid. I'm in severe pain. Thank God I was under a hood, under a mask. And yeah, that was the recollections for my first match. Besides him doing what they call the old Bundy splash, where he laid us both on top of each other. He splashed did a body splash on both of us, and he wanted the 5 count. So instead of getting 3, he was like, "Oh, ref, give me 5." So we had to sit there and take a 5 count, and the guy smelled so fucking bad. He smelled literally like a number 2 sub from Wawa, and it was torture. That first match was torture.
So, when was the part in your life, when you first watched WWE or wrestling in general? What was the point in your life that you was like, that could be a good career choice. I could pursue a wrestling career.
I never thought I was going to be able to wrestle. I always loved it. When I was a kid, there was a show called Saturday Night's Main Event that they would do once every couple of months, and we replaced Saturday Night Live on NBC when I was a kid. And it was this huge affair. It was pay-per-view. So, without getting long-winded, when I was a kid, wrestling on TV was what they call job matches. It was squad matches. It was always a name against some schmuck out of, Sheboygan, who would just be some, Rick Rude or Hulk Hogan or Junkyard Dog killing some guy. That's all you saw on TV. You never got to see outside of pay-per-view. You never got to see the big names going against big names. And every once in a while, every couple of months, NBC would run this thing called Saturday Night's Main Event, which would come on instead of Saturday Night Live, because Saturday Night Live ratings were in the toilet, like they are now. And you got to see the big matches, basically pay-per-view matches, off the pay-per-view. And I think that was one of the first times I saw a Saturday Night Main Event. I saw the electricity in the crowd. They knew they were going to see a big show. And people going wild. It just as silly as it is, the opening credits, closing credits, those original shows, there was such electricity that I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And it's not what I thought I was going to do eventually. I basically fell into wrestling by accident almost. But yeah, they would have been the original Saturday Night's Main Events that really got me into it. That made me want to wrestle.
So, you've said that you've used to take bookings from the old WWF and face guys like Brutus Barber Beefcake. So, what do you remember when you were doing those types of shows, taking bookings from WWF at the time?
No, I didn't take. I didn't get to take it.
Oh.
I should rephrase that. I got one what they call a dark match. I don't know if you're familiar with dark matches. Dark matches, you go on before Raw or before the cameras go on. I got my one dark match. They didn't necessarily take to me the one show. They didn't like where I was at the time. And this is years ago. This is almost 2006. So this is, 15 years ago. They didn't like where I was necessarily. So it's fine. But in the indies, in the independent scene, That's where I was working guys like Bruce Beefcake, Sergeant Slaughter, George Animal Steel, Honky Tonk Man, all the older '80s guys. It was all through the Indies.
So when you faced all these people on the indie scene, of course you've like came across guys that were like little, big, in the between with like the move sets and the brawling styles. Have I think you've have experienced this before. Have you ever like faced like some stiff guys that you were like would when you go to clothesline you just go like on the neck or instead of like this?
I don't want to say I'm stiff. So there's a thing. There's a difference. There's stiff, and then there's snug. So the last match I had, literally last week, for the SWF, the trifecta championship against Astro Morales, we worked snug, and we beat the shit out of each other. And it gets over with the fans because they need to hear that. They don't want two kids that look like they're mowing, the guys that just mowed their lawn to do flip, flop, and fly for 20 minutes in the ring. They want to see two big guys literally beat the shit out of each other. So I try to work as snug as I can without obviously harming my opponent. The stiffest, snuggest person I worked with was Jimmy Snuka. I worked with Jimmy Superfly Snuka at a show in Pennsylvania one time. And he laid into me with a bunch of chops. And when he landed his Superfly Splash, I definitely felt it.
I admire the stuff that you have accomplished over the indie scene, and of course you would be proud of your accomplishments that you've done through your wrestling career. So you're saying that you're not basically just doing light or not even stiff either. You're saying like you're saying in your words snug and just like
Right.
So
it's stiff, but it's not stiff. I'm not trying to hurt anyone.
It's like
when it comes to like breaking kayfabe, I know half of this interview is basically kind of kayfabe, where we were talking about how I want to kill people, blah 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 blah. I don't, and not to let the cat out of the bag or anything, but I don't legitimately want to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Little bit. How are you going to sell that punch?
You've got
right?
Yeah, I hear ya. You've gotten like cut off when we were talking in the middle of it, but I get what you're saying. You don't want to hurt people, but you want.
No worries. So,
all right.
Hold on 1 second, man. Hold on 1 second.
All right. You're good.
Sorry. Sorry, my dogs.
You're good. I have dogs too.
All right. So if you can't sell, like if you can't make a punch believable, if you can't at least make some contact, let's say we wrestle, right? You and I. And if you did not kind of feel that little bit of punch, how are you going to sell that punch? You have to be able to kind of feel it a little bit. And that's how you have to work. I've seen so many kids, like I say kids, but I've seen so many people on the indie scene that their hand doesn't even make contact with someone's face, someone's body. You can't sell that. If someone threw something like that at me, I wouldn't sell it. I would laugh in their face and I'd kick them in the gut. And probably actually kick them in the gut and actually really kick them.
So you're saying like not like not even making contact, just like it makes contact, but it doesn't actually hurt the person. At least it's believable.
It's again, the audience, especially on the indie scene, when it's a smaller crowd, they have to hear the contact. If you're sitting in the front row of a show where there's 300 people, and I'm working like wrestling with another guy, and I punch him in the face, you don't hear it. No one cares.
So if you need, so basically when it has to be like when the crowd hears like the chops or the punches to make it believable, to make it basically entertaining for the fans in attendance. I see that. So it's basically believable to the fans. Like I have only been a wrestling fan for about 4 years. I've actually learned all about these wrestlers. Well, you don't, but not saying you've took some knowledge, but I've learned about this guy named Hardcore Holly. You might have heard of him. He actually does I've heard a story that he doesn't want to he gets not quite physical for the not the wrong for his intentions, but his intentions are I think you might have heard this before. He used this incident with a guy named Matt Capitelli. He he hit hard for oh, this is not a hard this is not an easy business. You're not going to be here just throwing oh, go ahead.
There's a thing. There's a thing called what they used to call. I don't know if it's still kind of a thing called kayfabe. You have to protect the business, and guys like that came up through the territory system, who were trained to literally, just like Hulk Hogan, literally got his leg broken by Hiro Matsuda his first day into the wrestling business at training camp. These guys, when you learned how to train, would beat the fuck out of it. I got chopped as hard as, again, I got trained by this guy, Iron Mike Sharp. Iron Mike Sharp was a mountain of a guy, had hands the size of watermelons, and he chopped the ever-loving shit out of me my first night as a 19-year-old kid. And it's a respect thing. So, if you can't, guys take it too far, like Bob Holly did. Some people take it too far, and some people just try to respect the business. The guys still do. If someone's going to make a mockery, if I'm in the ring with somebody and he's doing some crazy flip-flop and fly stuff, and he asks me to sell some wild move, and he's 120 pounds soaking wet with bricks in his pockets. He's like, "Hey, can you sell this flying knee insecurity bullshit?" You say no, and then I'm going to clothesline the hell out. I'm going to take his fucking head off. So, and he's going to learn, hey, next time, don't ask the guy who's 270 pounds when you're 120 pounds to do all this bullshit and sell for you. It's not going to happen. And that's basically what Bob Holly was doing. He was like, respect the business. Don't be an asshole. Remember what folks went through before you.
So, I get what you're saying, pointing out kayfabe. I am familiar with it, but I don't want to in wrestling and some different organizations, you don't want to. There's guys that if you broke kayfabe or whatever, just you would get in trouble or something. Because I was just gonna start with that approach before going into some real crap.
I was sent home for breaking kayfabe. One time I was working in Philadelphia, not Philadelphia, but some Pennsylvania indie show. And the guy who ran the shows was this older, older wrestler, a hardcore believer in kayfabe. And I rode to the show with my opponent, and we showed up in the same band. My opponent at the time, this guy Dave Duncan, guy was a monster, literally a brick wall with legs. We got in the car, and the promoter's standing outside of this armory that we were wrestling in. And he used to get out of the car together. He was like, "Hey, you guys are unbooked." He was like, "Go the fuck home. We don't want you." I was like, "Holy crap! We just drove 4 hours to get to this show, and I need my payday." And he was like, "No, fuck off. You guys came out to see a car. Everybody just saw you guys riding together." And that's how it was at certain points. And people still really held on to that breaking kayfabe.
So, moving on from that, so we've said that kayfabe's not dead, but it's like some promoters like, we need to get like.
Unless you get guys like Lesnar, where it's believable, and you don't think kayfabe's dead until he does a job to like Goldberg in like 2 minutes. But you see guys like Lesnar where it's oh my god, is this real? Is he really beating the shit out of this guy? That's when that line is blurred. Otherwise, kayfabe's been dead for decades.
So, when you like wanted to get in the wrestling business, have you, besides considering a wrestler, like an in-ring competitor, they say, or independent contractors, it depends what people say it. Have you kind of considered like some type of other like job in the wrestling business, like a referee or like a ring announcer or? Oh, hold on. Oh, is it working? Okay. So you've heard my question, right?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so did you hear my...
I would like to be...
Oh. Is it
working? I got you.
Okay, you were saying?
There you go. All right. So I think I'd like to be what they call a finish guy. I don't know if you're familiar with that is. It's the guy, it's the last guy sometimes that you see before you go through the curtain. He's the guy you tell, hey, this is the finish we got for our match. Again, breaking kayfabe. This is the finish we got for our match. Where do you want to go? What do you think? And you kind of tweak the finish. As silly as it sounds, I always thought I was a pretty good finish guy, and I would like to do that in the indie scene. I would like to just be what they would call in the WWF or AEW a road agent, where you can tweak everybody's matches, or you listen to the guys have planned, and you're like, oh well, this is what we can do. This is what we can do, and hey, that match before you is doing the same spot. Like, let's say it's a big spot. That match before you is doing a big spot, like same spot. Let's do something else. So that's what I'd like to do.
So, are you like familiar with like like the original plan? Like if you had a guy, like if you were in booked in a match, like a triple threat, like between you, like an example, like you, Dalton, and Mike Swanson. And like then when you arrive, and it's like last minute, and just like he's due to injury, he's not going to be competing, and will be turned.
I would gladly kill those two potatoes. They're literally potatoes with eyes, the two of them. I wouldn't even need to talk over the match. They know what they have to do. They just got to lay down and let you pin them, the two of them. Swanson looks, like I said, like a chicken breast with a wig. Dalton's an afterthought. He's a punching bag. You just have to lay down and let you pin them.
So my question was, are you familiar with like bookings, like matches, like changing last second when you like arrive at the door? Is just like, wait, I thought this was the plan. Oh, we're doing this now.
That literally just happened to me. It literally just happened to me Thursday night at a GTS taping. So it happens all the time. You have to be able to work on the fly. You expect to work a 2-minute squash match like I've had to do a bunch of times. and all of a sudden you're presented like, hey, you guys got to go 10 minutes. And the difference between a 2-minute squash match and a 10-minute go is huge. It doesn't sound like much, but it's big, and it happens all the time. You have to be able to work on the fly like that. And basically, that's where experience comes into play. You're able to kind of walk through that.
Well, moving on from the booking issues, from changing from one to another. I think you're familiar with possible gimmick changes when you started your career. Like when you first started out, when you started going on the indie scene, you were called something else or something, or
I've been called a million things. Depending on where I worked, I was called a million different things. I was heel face. It didn't matter, it depended on where I was. The funny thing is, still now to this day, as silly as it is, except for GTS, wherever I work, as bad as I want to be a heel, I'm always face. We'll cheer me. The last show I did with the Trifecta Championship last weekend with Astro Morales, I was cheering. And I try my best to be just a heel. And I don't know what it is. It's always been like that, even when I was younger. When I was in my 20s and I was working in Pennsylvania, New York, up in New York State, up near Canada, I was trying to be the bad guy, and people just gravitated towards me. It is what it is. And thankfully with GTS, people take me as the heel. People take me as the bad guy, and I'm getting that heel heat that I want. Because everywhere else I get face heat, and I don't even try.
Despite not watching current WWE television for the past couple of years, you've are at least familiar with some type of. I thought of the question. I was trying to think in my brain, but apparently just left my brains. Forgive me. So,
No worries.
So moving on, I'm trying to remember that, but besides that, I got it. So throughout the career of that you had over about 25 years, or around that, how I know you've been working day by day, the daily grind in the wrestling business, how it goes. But you might have heard of this before from the WWE, it works 300 days a year, blah blah blah. Have you ever worked? Can you tell me a time how many days you've been and just wait until you have had a break? I don't know, 500 days working and then having a break finally.
I was very lucky. So when I was younger, I was a single dad. I was a very young single dad. My son is older than you. He's 24 years old, and so I couldn't work like that. And that's literally the big reason I wasn't in the WWE, because I definitely think I would have definitely gotten picked up definitely in my 20s. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the 300, whatever, 20 days a year on the road, because I had a kid at home and I was his sole provider. Obviously, I was his dad. He didn't have a mom, so that's the biggest reason. There was weeks after he got a little older, I would let my mother watch him. And I would go, and I'd go here in Pennsylvania, I'd go here in New York, and I go blah, blah, blah. But in the indie scene, shows don't run like that. Shows don't run like the WWF. Or WWE. Shows in WWE, you have Saturday house show, whatever, Sunday maybe house show, Monday, Tuesday, TV tapings. It's not like that in indies. Indies are weekends. And GTS is, we tape during the week. But yeah, no, I never really had to work like that where it was boom, boom, boom. I've had to work in multiple states in the same day, where I've done what they call double shots in the same day where I've gone from, let's say, Kentucky to Tennessee in the same day and done a noon show in Kentucky and a 7 p.m. show, 6 p.m. show in Tennessee. That's different. But in the indie scene, you don't get that kind of road schedule that the WWE is going to put on.
Well, I have touched on this briefly about how the match would go, like how it should be booked. But have has there been any point of your career like if you had to like before like a match on like television or on the indie scene, would like possibly rehearse it either in the back or like when nobody is even in the arena?
Yeah, it's funny because now, before a lot of the shows, before a lot of the indie shows, you see all the younger guys again because it's a spot fest. Nobody cares. Everybody's doing 25 kick flips. Everybody's doing 30 hurricanes, 25 DTs. Everybody's kicking out of every pin. Blah 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 blah. So you see. Won't even touch the ring before a show. I'll walk back to the locker room. I'll find the guy I'm working with. We'll go over our spots. We'll get the finish. Who's getting over strong? Who's not getting over strong? Blah, blah, blah. And that's it. You don't have to get in the ring before a show and really practice that hard. You shouldn't have to go. You shouldn't have to practice spots. That's what I'm trying to say. You shouldn't have to get in the ring before a show and go over 90 million spots, unless it's fucking WrestleMania and in the main event. You shouldn't, at an indie show, you shouldn't have to go over 90 spots before you get out of the ring. You should be confident enough in yourself to know, hey, I can pull this off without having to touch that ring before I go out. And I think that's really lost in a lot of the guys now, the younger guys now, because it's a spot fest, and they need to do, this one kid needs to do a 450 fucking flip and not land it. The other kid's going to close on him while the other one boots him, and the other one, throws him out of the fucking ring. You don't need to do that. And, I've never gone in the ring, to be honest, before a show. I go in the back and I talk to my opponent, we get the spots down, and we go.
I know, like all the stuff we talked about, it was all like in the indie scene or like taking bookings from everywhere. So I know this has happened in wrestling before, like many times. Like when they go off the script or whatever, like they forgot the script. Have you ever seen somebody that's like, huh? What was my script? Huh? What was I supposed to do the spot? Or
I've done it a bunch of times. It happens all the time. I worked a show here in Jersey with there was this guy George Animal Steel. He was a huge star in the '80s. He did this gimmick where he was in like the first like 3 WrestleManias, 4 WrestleMania, whatever it was, and I was able to work him. He's a great, amazing guy, but I was so excited to be able to work him because he was like literally one of my childhood heroes. Then I got into the ring, and the bell rang, and I couldn't remember a spot. If you paid me to remember a spot, I couldn't remember. But the great thing about those older guys at the time, they had done their matches so much that they could just walk you through it without even spots. You just kind of keep an open ear, just go with the flow. And he was able to just walk me right through that match. Especially George Steele, he had a very basic match. And he was able to just keep your ear open and just go.
So, like we've expressed like a lot before, I've like It's like, oh, we don't need to do all this flippy crap off the top rope or off a little Titantron, or just like go at each other, just like a basically like shoot, but it's not actually hurting somebody. But
Right.
have which people that you've got in the ring with that you have the like at the most respect for, like the brawlers that you've countered in the indie scene, like you mentioned, like George the Animal Steel and all those guys.
And that's tough because there's so many people. Obviously, I had respect for all the older guys that I worked with when I was younger. You know, George Daniel Steele, Honky Tonk Man, King Kong Bundy, you know, all Sergeant Slaughter, all those guys. Obviously, I have obviously immense respect for it. They were my childhood idols. I got to work with them. I literally, you can't. That's like an NFL fan to catch a pass from, let's say, Brett Favre. You know, it's so that was amazing, and I have immense respect for those guys. Now, you know, I have immense respect for guys like Casey Navarro, Brett Titus. These guys did the Jersey Muscle Society. They're not far from here. Those guys, all those kids are going down to AEW, and they're tearing up shit on AEW Dark and having a good time doing it. I have immense respect for those kids. Eventually, they'll cross paths.
Everybody has a low and a high point of their career. What what can you remember that is like some type that defines like the highs and lows of your career, that for an example, like, some type of match that like you've kind of bladed even though it wasn't supposed to be in the spot or whatever.
I hate bleeding. I'm not a big proponent of bleeding. I've only bladed maybe twice in 25 years. I always did it up in the hairline. I never did it on my forehead because it will leave permanent scars, especially if you do too much. So I always did it up here. My lowest point was probably the day I broke my back at that show in Pennsylvania against Bruce Beefcake. The highest point, honestly, is the recent trifecta championship win. Because of my age and where I'm at, to know that I had enough respect from the promoters to be able to carry the championship for 3 different companies. It's bigger than their heavyweight championship in each company, and for them to give me that belt, that was a big moment.
Well, I'm as you know, like wrestlers are going to be busy like all year, almost not even all year round sometimes, but like all the time. I've like myself, I've ran this podcast for like a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you got to back up. You were breaking up a little.
Apologize for that. So as I was saying, like every like wrestlers, like all these wrestlers just have some type of like schedule that like day by day, like when of course with breaks, but like I've just started this for like a couple, like I think a few weeks or a couple weeks, and I've had like a lot of these guys from GTS and also with like a couple guys that were in the WWE. There's a guy that I'm gonna have at like around in like a couple hours, and that's a guy that you know but you don't care about, is Joe Dice, who is currently going after Jungle Jim for the U.S. Championship. Of course, it's not your business, of course. But
Joe Dice, the Hammenegger, Joe Dice is another punching doll. And you know what the funny thing is? I actually respect Jungle Jim. Jungle Jim is business. Like, I'm business, Jungle Jim is business. He gets down to it. He knows what he has to do. He doesn't care what anybody else says. Jungle Jim is business. He's the next big series.
So if you want to send a message to Jungle Jim, or maybe Joe Dice himself that is going to be on here. If you have the floor.
No, there's no message. I do the Jungle Gym kid. He's the future GTS. Joe Dice is mid-card driftwood. Is a body bag. So that's all that matters.
So, have you like been into some type of like those types of what was it? The shoots like where they got like action, not work shoots, like like where like you're saying
No,
snug.
it was like shoot. Yeah, absolutely. I've been in maybe one or two of them, like hard, like really like legitimately going at it, angry at each other, like punching the crap out of each other. Yeah, there's been like at least two of those where I. It's a long story, and I can't go into it now. But there was one that in the Jersey Indies when I was much younger that not only did I beat the crap out of the guy, the worker, the guy I was facing, but I also beat the shit out of his father on the side of the ring.
So, if there's like a point in your career when you think of like retiring or whatever, I know there's a point in wrestling. Oh, is it good? Is it good or is it good? Oh, okay. So I know there's.
I think we're good now.
Okay, so there is a point. Okay, let's hope not. So I know in every wrestler's career that they have to hook up, hang their boots up at at one point. Like I don't know, like your plans for retirement, but if you can share with me, like what would you do if you felt one day, I could possibly retire. I could possibly hang up my boots and do something.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen because the way the kids are trained today, they can't. I will literally beat these kids' asses when I'm 75 years old. These kids aren't trained the way they should be, and I will literally whoop these kids' asses when I'm 75 years old. So there's no retirement.
So like Terry Funk, like I don't care how old I am, I could just still beat the fuck out of everybody.
There you go.
So I like that. So what would you like to see yourself like in like a few years if GT had like all these other companies, if you would see yourself?
Just cruising the indie scene. Like again, I'm not an AEW guy. I don't like to travel. I'm not going to be a WWE guy. I don't want that type of business. I just want to cruise the indie scene. I'm good with that. It's starting to. I'm getting offers from everywhere. I got an offer from Wrestle Pro in Alaska. I got I'm fine with that, and that's it. Yeah, no, I'm good with being that nomad in the indies.
And when you were training, when you were younger, when you took your first bump and everything, I know you had to like perform moves that you kind of like you would master over time, not just like when you first got. You're not going to master your first move, like your first bump at your first time in the ring. But what moves either like you mastered, like you're like have the most experience with, and the ones that you don't have like the least amount of experience, like your move, like you're the sky high.
I will tell you, I still to this day cannot throw a drop kick for the life of me. If I try to throw a drop kick, it's literally an abortion. It's so bad. I cannot throw a drop kick to save my life. And I can bump. The show I just did with Astro Morales, I did a belly to belly off the top rope with another guy who was over 270 pounds. And we had, we beat the crap out of each other. But I cannot throw a drop kick to save my life. I will let you know that. I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried when I was training. I could not throw a goddamn drop kick to save my life.
I see how drop kicks kind of like are hard to do, like with especially like with the guys that are like 200, 300 pounds, and like you might not have, of course, you haven't watched like current day wrestling, but there are guys that are able to pull it off. But
Oh yeah, no, there's a Big Show. Well, when he was Paul or with the Giant in WCW, there's that great story. He threw a drop kick like his first year in, and the guy's 7 foot tall, whatever, 6'11", whatever, 400 something pounds. He threw a drop kick in a match against some guy. I forget what it was, but people in the back lost their fucking minds. They're like, you can't throw a drop kick. Don't leave your feet. Don't leave your feet. Don't leave your feet. But if Paul White, if the Big Show, you know, the Giant, whatever you want to call him, was able to throw a drop kick, I would think I'd be able to do it, but I can't throw a drop kick to save my life.
yeah, like it's relating again to Brock Lesnar. You know, as you know, that Brock Lesnar used to do like shooting star presses when he was starting out in the WWE, or F when he was joining, and then like some like a WrestleMania or like one when he faced Kurt Angle, he just like tried to pull off like a shooting star with a little flashback, but he apparently like, you know, like I guess like jarred his neck or something when he did that shooting star.
Oh, he laid it on his fucking head. He literally laid it on his head. And that's the problem. They did it too far to the match, and he was gassed. He was tired at that time, and his weight, he's probably weighs as much as I do at that point. He's a lot younger than me at that point. But to be able to do something like that, you have to have the confidence in yourself to be able to do that. It's very scary. I would never try to pull a shooting star press. Maybe when I was younger, but you can't do that 20 minutes into a match at 250 pounds. Because no matter what, even if your cardio is at peak, position, you're still going to be gassed 20 minutes in. And to be able to try to pull a shooting star, that's dangerous territory. Yeah.
So you've said that the drop kick is the most difficult to pull off, or at least impossible to.
For me.
Yeah, I respect that. So and on the other end of the spectrum, what are the ones that you can definitely pull off without a sweat?
So bigger, obviously I can pull up a ton of moves without a sweat. But the one I like the best is the belly to belly off the top rope. It's a big move. It looks like $1 million, especially if you do it with a guy who's your size. You get them on the top rope. A lot of times it's that, for at least with me, it's that what they call the hope spot for the baby face. They get to the top rope. They look like they're going to drop an elbow on you or something like that, and you just run up to them, get to that middle rope, and you belly to belly them off the top rope. It's a huge spot. I love that spot.
Well, what are some moves that you have taken, but they're like, I don't want to do this because I don't want to like injure myself or anything.
Man, I took a power bomb from a sloppy dude when I was a young guy. This big fat guy. I mean, he was a big guy, but that was probably my third or fourth match in after I got my jaw dislocated my first match. But yeah, no, I don't like taking power bombs. I'm not big on power bombs. I'm not big on. I took a frog splash one time where I got my ribs broken because the guy overshot the frog splash and his knees went into my chest instead of his body landing on my chest. His knees fractured finding my ribs. That's over 20 years ago now too. But no, I'm not big on power bombs. So I'm not big on taking power bombs. And the beautiful thing is, because I'm a bigger guy, I don't have to take them. some other guys too.
So I don't want you, to flex or anything, but I know you have been in the guys that are, of course, bigger than you, or per se, like more buff, or maybe like more, like have more pounds than you. Have you, like, of course, what is your type of, hold on. So what I was about to say was the the feats of strength in your career. I know you've had like many of them over like the decades. Um, can you like elaborate on some of the feats of strength, or like maybe the greatest of your career in your own opinion?
There weren't really many of that because so when you work the heel character, when you work the heel role, it's only recently that the heel has become the stronger guy. That's only recently, really, since Brock Lesnar. It used to be the heel 90% of the time is what they call the chicken shit heel. So the chicken shit heel was the guy who would run away from the baby face or, kind of beg off a lot. So you didn't get a lot of big feats of strength. You get maybe a toss off, on the lockup, you lock back and forth, you toss off. But there weren't a lot of feats of strength with the heels. The old school corny bullshit that I was doing, back in the day with like the backbreaker and stuff. But there's not really anything you can point to because it's only become recently where the heel is this kind of powerhouse, takes no offense, takes no heat from the face, and just demolishes the face. That didn't happen a long time ago. 90% of the time, the heel was a chicken shit heel and kind of ran from the baby face the whole time.
Yeah, and you're not nothing like that. You're just like, yeah, he's like, I gotta show off my strength and beat the fuck out of these guys. I'm not running for, you know.
Wait till you see what I'm doing to Tony Emerald.
I will stay tuned for that. I've been watching GTS, like getting back in the swing of things. Like for 2.5 months, I've been watching, like since Penetration Chamber. I saw you when you first debuted. You were actually this type of powerhouse, and you were like this much of a tough guy, and I respect that. Hold on one second.
Oh, was it?
Okay, I thought you promised.
Fucking darkness shit in here, you fucking vampire.
Let me All right. All right, I'm back. So I know you have the match coming up with possibly a couple matches on the here or there on GTS and all those shows, and I respect you having the time to come on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on.
And I don't want to like take away the time that you have with like to get to like travel somewhere, or like or you need to work out or whatever. I don't want to do that like when you're in like working out, or I don't want to do like that,
No worries.
So any time you have left, it's been like I don't know how long. I've just been past time.
We had a good talk. It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. If you want to keep it going, you can.
I actually, it's funny. I actually have a barbecue going on outside with a couple of friends.
Okay.
But I appreciate you having me on, and it was actually a great interview, and I really appreciate you having me on, my friend.
You too.
And listen, don't listen to listen. You have to cheer for me on GTS. Okay, like listen, who's the best thing? Literally, who's the best thing going on in GTS? If it wasn't for me,
Yeah, like those brawlers, like they come in and just like go ham on those types of opponents, and like especially those smaller guys. That at least some type of entertainment into like the type of MMA fans. Like, oh, let's see people go, like, throw down and just throw real punches, and at least be believable to the crowd to
Yes, sir.
get riving up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But that's all I'm gonna do to Tony Emerald. I'm not gonna hold it. I'm not gonna what they call pull punches or work punches. I'm literally gonna hit him, and I'm gonna choke him out for his life. I'm not even gonna use the sky high at Fat Lash. I'm literally gonna just work his neck, and I'm gonna choke him the hell out.
So if I could, if you want to do a little more, you can. But if you, it's up to you how long you want to do this. It's.
Give me. You know what? Let's do it like this. Give me 2 more questions.
Okay, 2 more. Okay, that's
2 more questions.
that's fine with me. So I know there's another tough guy from Brock Lesnar to a guy named with Ryback. I know people have. I think you might have heard the guy Ryback. I think like stuff came out of them, like a guy named CM Punk, who's like the stable of the wrestling business today, so without even wrestling. He's been calling out for being like real stiff, and all those guys that are being called out. That I think you might respect these guys, like. And
you can work too stiff. You can work what they call snug, or you can work stiff. So stiff is when you're going to physically actually really hurt somebody, and you have to remember in wrestling, you have to, if it's me and let's say it's me and you, and we were going to have to wrestle each other, you have to go home to your family. I have to go home to my family. So I want you to go home safe. You want me to go home safe. But at the same time, we have to let the people know in the crowd that we beat the shit out of each other. So they have to hear it. You have to work what they call snug, not stiff, but snug. You're gonna take some hits, but they're gonna be able. It's hits that it might hurt a little bit when you go home, but you're fine. You're not injured. That's snug. Stiff is you're trying to really fuck somebody up for real. And there's no excuse for working stiff because you have to go home to your family. I have to go home to my family. We're just trying to make money. That stiff is bad business.
And the last question, which would be the icing on the cake. So you say you don't care about the stipulation, about like just getting in there and being done with it. You don't care about the stipulation. What type of crazy type of match or stipulation that was like type in your like either your early career or your current day career now that stands out from like normal matches like falls count anywhere 2 out of 3 falls?
I've done everything outside of the crazy like deathmatch stuff, but as silly as it is, I would always love to kind of work a barbed wire rope match. So the old FMW stuff where there's no ropes, it's just barbed wire instead of ropes. And I would love to work that type of match because there's so much you can do with that. In terms of storytelling in the match, that you don't even need to hit the rope. You don't even need to hit the barbed wire. There's a story in that. The whole story is getting to the point where you hit the barbed wire. So that's definitely a match I would want to eventually work. But again, I'm 45 years old. I don't know how many barbed wire rope matches I'm working. So.
Oh. Well, it was great to have you on, Mr. Ceres, and I can't wait to see you go against Tony Emerald and quote unquote choke him out.
Listen, he's a brick in a bucket right now. He's dead before he even knows it.
So I hope you have a good barbecue with your friends, and
thank you, buddy.
And I hope you have a good rest of your day, buddy.
You too. I appreciate it.
Like, good,
Have a great day, brother.
and good luck. And of course, I praise to you with your title defenses at the fighting.
You gotta see, like, you gotta check out the. I'm defending both the GTS and the Trifecta Championship against Dilfoy Daltano on May 15th at the Divide and Conquer show. So you definitely got to stay tuned for the results from that.
All right, I'm definitely gonna tune into that. I'm definitely gonna tune into the rest of the matches, of course, not excluding those out, but yours especially in this case.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Hope you have a good day, and it was nice talking to you.
Have a great day, my friend.
You too.
Bye, buddy.
All right. I'm surprised I pulled it off. Wow. I'm sweating. Okay. All right. So, for the people still watching, hope you enjoyed that with Mr. Vince Ceres. And for about 1.5 hours from now, I'm going to have Joe Dice. I'm going to watch Groomania Backlash, Fatlash. It's off my tongue. Anyway, the socials for Mr. Ceres for on YouTube is in the description of this stream, and if you want to follow him, if you're watching on Periscope, you Vince underscore Ceres at Vince underscore Ceres is Twitter, and let me just check here. Vince Ceres, I guess, like no spaces, no caps, and that is his Instagram. If there's any socials that I left out, my bad. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Game Master Clark, and on Instagram, I might be trying to get other people on to possibly for an interview. I really appreciate you guys watching. And after the type of podcast with Joe Dice, I'm going to have a little Roblox stream that I promised y'all. I'm sorry I didn't do it yesterday. That's my bad. I forgot. Anyway, this has been Kyle Clark, and this has been Wrestling Around, episode 9, The Champion of Champions. Stay tuned for the next episode with Joe Dice, episode 10. Episode 10, Contention. See you guys in the next one. Peace. And good luck. Both the Vince Ceres and Tony Emerald. Honestly, on the looks of it, Tony Emerald, you're going to actually need it.
Oh my god, it's so good.
No, I'm not saying like you actually need the help, but I've respect for both of you. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to start drama, of course.